The toxic plume from the Tijuana River can be seen from outer space. It shows sewage flowing off of the South Imperial Beach area and spreading into the Pacific Ocean.
America, California beaches are drowning in raw sewage, and it's not Mexico's fault, it's Gavin Newsom's. A bombshell investigation reveals that Newsom signed a bill, SB 507, in 2020 that led to a 480% increase in raw sewage flow from Mexico, resulting in over 22 billion gallons of contaminated water annually flooding San Diego beaches. We're talking about 3-year beach closures, bacteria levels so high they're off the charts, and residents who can smell the sewage from 10 minutes away. But here's the kicker. While Gavin Newsom allocated $15 million in state funding supposedly to fix the problem, his policies actually made it exponentially worse.
14.5 billion gallons of raw sewage flowing from Mexico here into California, continuing to contaminate waters of local communities, including here in Imperial Beach.
What is up, guys? Tyson, Dela, Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. This is California Democrat leadership in a nutshell. Create a massive environmental disaster through terrible policy decisions, then blame everyone else while tourists flee and local economies collapse. San Diego County Supervisor Jim Desmond is finally telling the truth about this sewage catastrophe. Let me break down how Gavin Newsom created this environmental nightmare. In 2020, Newsom signed a bill, SB 507, which according to the Change.org petition led to a staggering 480% increase in raw sewage flow into the U.S. from Mexico. We went from a manageable sewage issue to 22 billion gallons of raw sewage annually flooding San Diego beaches. San Diego County Supervisor Jim Desmond explained the scope of this crisis.
Every day there's about 5 million gallons of raw sewage comes across the border into our country, onto our beaches.
Think about that, 5 million gallons of raw sewage every single day flowing into California beaches. That's not a natural disaster. That's a policy-created disaster. Newsom allocated $15 million in state funds to the Tijuana River Valley in that same bill. But his policy changes made the problem exponentially worse. The result, long-term beach closures in San Diego, a tourism industry in crisis, and residents who can't even open their windows because the sewage stench.
We need the support of our governor and our president. I cannot re-emphasize that enough.
This is what happens when you elect environmental extremists who care more about virtue signaling than actual results. The health impact of Governor Gavin Newsom's sewage disaster is absolutely staggering. 10 San Diego beaches are now under advisory due to the heightened bacteria levels, with some areas showing bacteria levels so high they're literally off the state health standard charts.
The beach advisories were announced earlier today, and officials warned of high levels of domoic acid. That's a toxin found in shellfish in San Diego County. Experts tell us the toxin can be dangerous to people if you eat contaminated shellfish.
Health officials are warning people not to collect or eat any shellfish like oysters, mussels, or clams, and cooking them won't destroy the toxin. Lori Hemfrey, who grew up in Imperial Beach, described the devastating change. I can smell it from my house, and I live 10 minutes away. She now wears shoes on the sand and says the beautiful beaches that she grew up on are absolutely gone.
I can smell it at my house, and I live 10 minutes, and that's how far the smell is really bad.
She wears shoes on the sand to protect her feet. She says it's an issue that should be easy to solve.
The Imperial Beach coastline near the Tijuana River has been closed with only intermediate openings for the past 1,000 days. That's nearly 3 years of continuous beach closures because of Newsom's policy disaster. San Diego County Supervisor Jim Desmond explained how this sewage crisis is destroying the local economy. We're a tourist community, he says. We attract tourism here, and we have more beaches now that just had advisories coming out yesterday. More beaches north of San Diego County are under advisory.
That this is a tragic environmental and public health disaster that no other community, not just in the United States, but in the Western Hemisphere, is dealing with. We know it's the most polluted beach in America. We know it's one of the top 10 most polluted rivers. in the entire nation, and now it's visible from space.
The economic impact is absolutely devastating. Hotels, restaurants, beach equipment rentals, and countless other businesses are dependent on beach tourism are losing millions of dollars because of Newsom's policies created a sewage swamp where there used to be a pristine beach. Supervisor Desmond didn't hold back. We've got to put the pressure on Mexico. We've got to make it their problem, not ours.
And it's just really gotten nastier in the last 2 or 3 years. And we've got to stop Mexico. We've got to put sanctions, tariffs, treaties, whatever we have to do. We have to make this Mexico's problem because it's not their problem now. They flush it and we end up with it.
But the real problem isn't Mexico. It's Newsom's policies that created a 480% increase in sewage flow. A new federal CDC survey reveals that the devastating impact on South Beach communities, 97% of residents surveyed are concerned about the air quality related to the sewage crisis. 2/3 say they believe the area isn't safe to visit, work, or live in.
The study carried out by the CDC finds that 97% of those surveyed are concerned about air quality related to the sewage crisis, and 4 out of 5 have changed their lifestyle in some way due to the sewage.
4 out of 5 residents have changed their lifestyle in some way due to the sewage. Angelina and Javier Hernandez have lived in Imperial Beach for 10 years, are questioning whether they should stay or leave, especially if they're going to start a family.
There's been a couple times where I just wake up in the middle of the night, have to close the window and turn on the air purifier on full blast sometimes, because it does bother you and wake you up.
The survey also found that more than 60% of parents say their children miss school because of symptoms they believe were connected to the sewage crisis. 64% of residents report new or worsening health symptoms like headaches, congestions, or coughs. Finally, we have a president who's taking this crisis seriously. President Trump talked about the sewage crisis from Air Force One, becoming the first sitting president to ever mention this environmental disaster.
The Pacific Ocean's not looking too good on many occasions. Sometimes it stops and sometimes it breaks. And when it breaks, very bad and disgusting things happen.
Finally, a president who acknowledged this environmental catastrophe. EPA Director Lee Zeldin is scheduled to visit the Tijuana River in this coming weeks, showing the Trump administration is taking action where the previous administration ignored the problem.
Supervisor Desmond says EPA Director Lee Zeldin will visit the Tijuana River in the next week or two.
Tomorrow, there will be a press conference featuring several leaders in the South Bay where they will be calling for a resolution to end the sewage crisis.
Supervisor Desmond is pushing for sanctions, tariffs, and treaties to force Mexico to address the sewage flow. But the real solution is reversing Newsom's disastrous SB 507 that created this 480% increase in the first place. America, this raw sewage crisis isn't a natural disaster or Mexico's fault. It's a direct result of Governor Gavin Newsom's failed environmental policies. SB 507 created a 580% increase in raw sewage flow, turning San Diego pristine beaches into a contaminated wasteland. 22 billion gallons of raw sewage annually, 5 million gallons daily, beaches closed for nearly 3 years, bacteria levels off the charts, and residents who can't open their windows because of the stench. This is what happens when you elect environmental extremists who care more about ideology than results. The CDC survey showing 90% of residents are concerned about the air quality and 2/3 believing the area isn't safe proves this is a public health emergency created by California's Democrat leadership. While Newsom allocated $15 million supposedly to fix the problem, his policy changes made it exponentially worse. That's like setting your house on fire, then bragging about calling the fire department. President Trump is the first president to even acknowledge this crisis, and the EPA Director Zeldin is finally visiting to see the damage firsthand. This is what happens when you have leadership who cares more about results instead of virtue signaling. I'll keep tracking California's environmental disaster and the Trump administration's efforts to clean up this mess. And remember, this is what happens when you elect Democrats who care more about ideology than protecting public health. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.